Hello, and welcome back to an Elder Scrolls 6 video about Summerset Isles.
I'm
welcome.
Michael. And this is Scott.
And this is, together, we make FudgeMuppet.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah.
The first thing that I want to talk about to start off the video is basically, why would Summerset Isles be Elder Scrolls 6? So, if you've played Skyrim, and you've played Stormcloaks, and I don't care if you hate them, play both. Like, you gotta...
Yeah.
Don't have one character, have many characters, have fun, experience everything. But anyway, Galmar Stonefist at the end of the Stormcloak storyline says, like, he not quote exactly, but he says something along the lines of,
Yeah.
It's not long before we invade Summerset Isles. So, that sort of hints towards something, you know, the Stormcloak's next objective, and it really depends on the canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I think that would be a lot more interesting anyway if there was Stormcloaks, because within Tamriel there's more political factions than just the Empire, and then the opposing the Empire, the Thalmor, so then it adds a bit more variety.
Exactly, so if Stormcloaks did win the canon, then it is possible that they invade Summerset Isles, because they, you know, they control all of Skyrim, their army would probably double, like, you know, think about all the recruiting time and no Imperial opposition there. And the other thing is that, the Stormcloaks don't oppose High Elves joining. You know, if you play a High Elf, you can join. It's more the lower ranks, the grunts, the really Stormcloaks that are racist towards High Elves, but they will join the High Elves who oppose the Thalmor, and there are High Elves that oppose the Thalmor.
Yeah,
so
the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. So if the Stormcloaks were to join up with a High Elf rebellion, then you could have another situation where they have to fight alongside someone they don't really like for a greater goal, and that goal being Talos worship.
Yeah.
Because not all High Elves oppose Talos worship. You know, there'd be a rebellion of High Elves who would allow it if they were to get into rule, as long as the Thalmor are vanquished. I'm sure the Stormcloaks would be very happy to do so.
Yeah. Because, it's like a lot of, they say about High Elves and how... You know, everyone's like, oh, I'll never play a High Elf because they're all Thalmor, blah, blah. It's like a real-life issue. Religion is not always corresponding with race, you know.
Yeah.
You know, just because you're white in this, you're not always a Christian. You could be a Buddhist or whatever, or just because you're Chinese doesn't mean you're a Buddhist, etc.
It's just the race.
It's
like,
exact same.
And it's
two separate
political
things.
faction, not so much the religion, although it has religious connotations.
But political faction,
It's like saying, like...
It's like saying every single German was a Nazi.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. That's a good analogy.
Well, if Elder Scrolls 6 was based in Summerset Isles, it's a bit of a downsize. It's about the size of... Summerset Isles is similar to Morrowind's play area, which is Vardenfell, the island in the middle. But, like, environmental-wise, it would be beautiful. It would be very, like, mystical gardens and tropical beaches.
Beautiful trees.
And you'd have, like, the... You know, and they talk about the architecture, like elven architecture, and how they're just so ornate and beautiful with everything, and... Everything would just be... And also a lot of mystical, arcane vibes.
Very magical sort of area. And the thing is, you know, taking it to a smaller area, you have to take a sort of quality over quantity approach. Yeah. So, you know, you don't want it... You know, people, I want big, I want the whole of Tamriel.
Yeah.
What that does is creates Elder Scrolls Online. And it's just... You know what I mean? Like, you can't. And I think it's important to have a game... Not within everything, even though it would be nice, because then you get to focus on one culture, you get to absorb yourself in one thing in more depth. So what they'd need to do is they need to add more density to the game. Like, we're fine if it's in Summerset Isles.
Oh yeah,
I'd be happy, even though it's smaller, as long as it's denser, more things to see.
But even, but like the quality of the quest and the gameplay mechanics, they can focus a lot more on the factions, the political intrigue, the choices, the consequences specifically, but lots more on that rather than just focusing on a huge play area like everyone wants.
Yeah, and
exploration can still be deep, like, you know, could add a whole underwater thing, like make underwater exploration a big deal now, like it could be
maybe there's an apparel that has a mask for races besides Argonians, you know what I mean? Like something that makes it easy to breathe underwater, and that's what you have to do with a smaller area. You need to take it from flat to up and down, so you can explore up through towers, and you know, there's mountains everywhere.
But imagine like just the immense detail that they can focus on even in the cities.
Yeah, exactly.
How, like, make the cities like big and solid and just like so detailed and perfect.
Yeah.
Just essentially focusing on making a smaller area perfect rather than
like
a
3
big
times as detailed as Skyrim, but a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that also, so you're going up into towers and things like that, go down into underwater. There's ruins and stuff, and one of the main ruins would just be interesting and unique is all the coral kingdoms of the Slode.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's some great barrier reef stuff kind of going on there. Like, you know, all the coral, like, I was just thinking about the underwater environment, having like nice big colourful fish and like coral and everything.
I mean, I went to the Great Barrier Reef this year, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a reef off the north coast of Australia.
It's a World Heritage Site. It's really interesting. If you're touring in Australia, I suggest you go there.
Yeah, have some real serious colourful underwater going on.
It's like rainbow paddle pops, but like with eyes, like going along. Like, it's amazing. But yeah, you know, just more and more creatures as well. Like, what were creatures? There's underwater were creatures for sure. Were sharks?
Well, yeah, were sharks are a thing in Elder Scrolls lore. Like, that would be very interesting. Maybe even like
playable were sharks.
But water mounts.
Watermelons.
If we're just spitballing ideas, like imagine, you know, some sort of
some lapras.
Because Summerset Isles also deals with the Marima, the water elves, the ones.
They're down lower, but
they're a bit lower, but they often come and invade parts and like are trouble. Like that would be interesting in water mounts, but
they look really cool. But anyway, the Slode.
So the Slode are a race of slug-like humanoids from the coral kingdoms of Thras, and I'm assuming that's sort of underwater and so on, and pink and beautiful. But they're also Slode, the name is slug toad. They're like these big, fat, ugly-looking necromancer type things. Interesting enough, they've got powerful magic and stuff, and they were also supposed to be one of the original inhabitants of Summerset Isles before the elves came from Aldmaris.
And I don't think they'd be a playable race.
Yeah, we don't, because they're
too different.
They're fat, they're slow, they're these big. It's like they don't wear armor the same way.
Everything else is more like a human. It's like trying to put Jabba the Hutt as a playable character, like the movement and the limbs, and it just doesn't work. But they could be an NPC, definitely. Yes,
they're having them as an NPC, but because we've never actually had many NPCs that are races and so on that you can't be. You can normally be the Orcs and Imperials.
There was one Slode. There was actually a Slode in the Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah,
in Redguard.
Yeah.
I think it was Nagastar or something, like and he was like some big badass necromancer. Looked heaps weird because it was Redguard graphics, but they could be made very interesting. And the other reason why they couldn't really be played as playable is because they don't have emotion. They literally don't have emotion, but they can entertain a lot of the human species by acting. They're really good actors. They can fake emotion really well, but they don't really produce their own emotion. They're not afraid to kill shit that gets in the way of their goals, and they're not brash either. They they don't have the word adventure in their vocabulary. I think it was something, adventure in theirs translates to something like foolish risk-taking, do you know what I mean?
Right.
All their heroes in their mythology and their lore plan out their events. Like, they make a big plan for ages before they execute it. Slode's an interesting race to experience, but not so much to players.
Yeah, it's the same deal with having the Marima, like I mentioned before. Having them as an NPC
Marima
race.
Are super human though. Like,
they're very
they
human.
Could be playable.
They could potentially.
It wouldn't.
But having them as an NPC and having these NPC only races that are politically relevant and so on, and
spice up the game.
Interact with spice it up a bit. It's as if they're like the Dwemer, came back or whatever. But I mean, that's not really relevant to Summerset Isles at all. But it's the same kind of deal, like in Morrowind when you met Yagram Bagan, the last Dwemer on Mundus.
The other interesting thing about Summerset Isles would just be new creatures. The beasts in Summerset Isles are very interesting, very tropical, very exotic. They have big flying birds. Canna, I think it's called.
It's like their trademark kind of
creature.
But it's like a nobility bird, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like sort of how like eagles in real medieval times. Eagles with the nobility and so on. But they're really prized birds. But there could be lots of really interesting lifestyle. Like, just to sort of throw some sort of real world mythology examples, like imagine a griffin as a flyable mount.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Or creatures similar to that.
Because there's nothing worse than Skyrim when they told us we could fly dragons, and it's just like on a set motion path, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, who actually uses dragons? I mean, that'd probably be a cool idea for a build, but it's not that practical. Like, you have to tame a beast, find shit to kill that's in that area.
But even some more sort of, like, imagine harpies.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff, and that
awesome.
kind of stuff. Interesting stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then even down low, if they added an entire underwater element to it, like creatures that are dangerous, instead of just trademark slaughterfish, have lots of things. Have whales. Imagine that. How cool would that be if you're swimming around and there's whale going on?
Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm feeling they should make swimming a bit more like that. So it's more deep. Because, dude, if they want to add an underwater element, they can't just have, like, oh, there's a whale. Like, do you know what I mean? It needs to be a bit more, like, up, down, more depth, and just, you know, more areas underwater.
Like making underwater, so make a big effort with the environment, and so the creatures themselves, like, you know, have crabs. Like, that was the coolest thing, like, I remember in Assassin's Creed Black Flag when a moray eel jumps out.
Yeah.
Like, imagine have that as a...
Scared the crap out of me the other day, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I fully did not see it. I was just like, ugh.
But, like, stuff like that, and make it sort of interesting, and Argonians would have a race advantage for once. Like, a real... Because, let's face it, is water breathing really relevant in Skyrim? Like, none of it's water. When you do, what do? Swim down and you look at... get some pearls.
Oh, I got like, 58 gold, bro.
You know, it's not that... You know, it's not that relevant, but if it, you know, if they gave a big advantage to, you know, people can cast water-breathing spells or enchantments or...
Yeah, exactly.
You know, actually being an Argonian and so on.
And then that
having them swim faster, like we talked about racial diversity in the actual video. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and it would work as well with, adding more spells to the game because it's meant to be more magical and stuff. Yeah. You know, bring back water-breathing... Was that in Skyrim? I don't... No, yeah, sorry, bubbles go everywhere.
Yes.
They took out water walking. Just bring back more spells like that. Just more interesting things. Because that's just a bit off topic, but it is the arcane central sort of Tamriel. So have it a bit more magical.
You think it's a potential thing, arcane? More the creatures, more like arcane kind of creatures, like not
just that you fight, like imps and stuff.
Yeah, but even like not wisps, but like wispy kind of things, or like just Atronarchy type things. And so on.
Of new elements as well, like Earth Atronarchs or like I don't know, something like an ice wraith, but it's made of wind. Just different stuff.
Interesting stuff. Yeah. And just briefly talking about religion, where you'd have it'd be similar to Skyrim, because in Skyrim you had the Pantheon, and they're all the divines, but they've got different names or different sort of ways of worshipping them. So they
have different devil figures as well. They have something starting with L. I can't remember the name. Lorcan, that one.
Yeah. But you know how like there was Kine, which was Kinnereth, and they had a couple of different ones in Skyrim and so on. They have Auriel, which is Akatosh essentially, but it's the same deal, different ways of worship, and it'd be interesting.
Just more cultural diversity, like even the shrines and the statues, just a bit different.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Everything would be a bit really ornate, just really, really beautiful. Like they're really meticulous with detail because they talk about how Altmer themselves are. You know, excellent painters because they live for a long time, so they learn about the detail. They're a real perfectionist society and very selective with the genetic breeding and so on and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, have that represented in the architecture.
It's funny though because bringing it back to how I said there could be a rebellion. Third era, there was the xenophobic rebellion thing, xenophobic and supremacist rebellion. And what that was a whole bunch of younger Hales. It's sort of like today, you know how we like think differently, so, like more open-minded. A lot of the younger Hales were sort of like, well, why are you being so discriminate to other races? Why do you think being a High Elf is so amazing? Blah blah blah. So a lot of those Hales now are adults because High Elves live ages. So it just makes sense with the rebellion that they wouldn't mind joining, even though it is the Nords and Nords are discriminating. If the Nords decided not to discriminate, you know what I mean? Like it would align with their interests.
Well, one of the other main points for having Summerset Isles, like relative to that, is stop demonising the High Elves because of the Thalmor. Have internal
other side of the coin.
Yeah, represent, you know, both perspectives.
And speaking of that, it'd be even easier, just in that last part, not from the start, if Imperials won in the canon, then the High Elves who were all for multiculturalism and like the Thalmor easily joined the Empire.
Oh yeah.
Easy. But then, you know, is the Empire going to rebel against the Thalmor? Something would have to go down for...
But I'm even excited for like higher level politics where it's just like, ultimate wisdom wizards, like because there'd be lots of wizards or kings, princes and stuff that have lived for like a really long time and super wise, super powerful and so on, like big Lord of the Rings kind of feel. Walk in, there's just these ancient elves that have they've experienced so much, and like, you know, elves that have lived for, you know, 1,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
like
they've lived before the Great War, and
they've seen so much.
They've been around for essentially for all the Elder Scrolls timeline.
Yeah.
If an elf has lived for 1,000 years, that's all of Arena, that's all of Daggerfall, that's Nerevarine doing his due, and
that's
saw the fall of the Tribunal Morrowind Empire, and see.
I mean, it depends if they saw it, but they were there in that time.
And the Empire, the end of an age of Tiber Septim.
Yeah, exactly.
End of the Septim line. Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and they'd have like heaps to. They'd have the best NPCs, and once again, if we have a strong, detailed NPC dialogue and stuff, and like a really good characters, instead of focusing on just huge expanses of land, get a really good, really in-depth characters that you love.
And I want the land to take as long to explore as Skyrim as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's smaller.
Yeah. Just, add levels to it.
Multifaceted. Multi-dimensional.
But because with adding detail, it does make it exploration.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll be able to find
new things.
But even looking in the rooms, and going into a building and exploring, but having each room worth exploring.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
And, well, not all, of course, but
yeah.
The other thing that I noticed in Skyrim was, and especially Oblivion, was there were big buildings. So let's say the building is this big, right? This is the building. You go in, this much is explorable, but it feels like the whole building.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really like Imperial City.
Yeah.
Massive. You go in a massive tower and it's like being in a storage room.
Yeah.
Like make it all filled out. Like,
because
walls aren't like 10 meters thick of just stone to the outside.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the Imperial City as a whole would have just like how that's just the game representation, but in your like canon, in the mind of lore, that the city's much larger.
With thousands of people.
Yeah.
Alright, and that finishes it. I hope you enjoyed this video, Elder Scrolls 6 Summerset Isles. After this, we're gonna go film Elder Scrolls 6 elsewhere. So Khajiit and Caddy and stuff. Yeah.
So both soon.
Yeah, very soon. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. Actually been going really well. Instagram has exploded from 150 followers to 350 in a few weeks, which is good.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for that. And of course, all the content on that is exclusive. We're not uploading pictures of us eating sushi on YouTube, so if you want to see us stuff our face or do other things of that nature, you got to go onto Instagram.
Oh, and follow the Twitter.
The Twitter's good. Yeah, if you want to ask questions,
Twitter's the most reliable.
YouTube's not the place. There's hundreds of comments every day.
Yeah. Either Facebook or
you got to catch us off guard.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.